So I'm at this point where I have a bunch of stuff that I want to share with other people, a bunch of things that I think are pretty cool that are worth checking out, but they don't really fit into my normal repertoire of things. They're like gadgets, life hacks, that type of stuff. So that's what this video is going to be. I have a number of things in front of me that I think are really worth checking out. Some of them are dirt cheap, some of them are a little bit expensive, and some of them are a lot expensive, but I think they're all pretty neat. So I think we're going to go ahead and start off with something audio related, which is what I normally cover, which is actually going to be a bead organizer. The bead organizer right here, I recommend using for all of your ear tips. Cable's not really going to fit in here. We'll talk more about cable organizer in a second. So a friend of mine actually turned me on to this idea. You can actually label these and stack them up if you have a lot of them. These are all the tips I have currently, and I keep them all organized based off of type and style and even brand, and it just keeps everything separated. It's awesome. I love it. Okay, the second one is going to be a little bit odd, but just hear me out here. So it's a kind of an old school kind of filmmaker trick. It's a jewelry organizer. This one is actually a hanger jewelry organizer. And it's kind of the same theory as the actual bead organizer there, where you're gonna be able to fit all of your cables and all these like miscellaneous items into this organizer, and you can see everything. Got batteries in there, cables, remotes. It can fold up. I actually keep it in my camera bag, and I just roll it up and stick it in there. But it does actually come with a hanger on this end that you can just hang it, and you can actually stack multiple of these and have everything super organized, easy to access. And not only is this way cheaper than an actual organizer case, but I actually like this system better because it's easily transportable and it's super slim. And you can stick it under your bed, you can stick it behind even a shelving unit, or you could stick it in your closet. Okay, next thing I recommend getting is kind of like an overall life thing that I think everybody should one have and two practice with, and that's going to be a knife, specifically a good knife, and specifically a knife with a fun actuation to opening and closing it. This is a Benchmade 940. It's a fairly expensive knife. It's about 150 bucks to 200 depending on when and where you buy it. But the point of this is that it's got kind of this actuation method where you kind of pull down on this lever and you open it up, close it. It's very satisfying, but I think what this does psychologically is it entices you to utilize the knife, get used to the weight, get used to having a blade in your hand, and be very comfortable and relatively safe with a blade in your hand. And I come from a household where we do lots of camping, outside activities. I work for a shipping company and stuff. So a knife like this to me means less of like personal defense or a weapon and more of like utility. And I think for a lot of people, there's still like fear related to an object like this just because it's got a sharp blade on the other side of this. And that can cause some serious damage if you're not careful. But that's why I recommend getting something that you can practice relatively safely with and get comfortable with having an item like this. But really, if you get used to using one of these, you'd be surprised at how many applications these help you with. Okay, so if you have a home theater system and your girlfriend or wife won't let you put up a lot of foam paneling, they won't let you deck it out to make it acoustically a good room, what you can do is kind of sell it under the guise of getting some paintings for that room, and make sure you're getting canvas paintings with a lot of room behind them. So you want to get the ones with like the thicker frames, and then you can put acoustic foam behind the painting. And there's still going to be some reflection off of that canvas, but a lot of the sound is going to pass through. It would normally hit the wall and bounce out, and you can actually treat the room kind of stealthily if you put acoustic foam behind the painting. So it's a pretty useful trick, especially if you have a roommate who cares about the appearance of your front room. So definitely recommend it. Okay, the next one is really simple, but very useful. Get a key tag. These are kind of this remove before flight branded ones. They're just basically knockoff versions of what you would actually find on a plane, or apparently a bomb. One of my commenters mentioned that you can actually find these on bombs too. But it's basically a pre-flight inspection tag where they would inspect a piece and then they'd remove the tag once it passes inspection. But the real reason why I use this is to put it on items that I want to find. So I have one for another utility knife that I would keep in my toolbox. I have one of my keys. The reason why, it's red, it stands out like crazy, so you can really always find it. I've even found these things in the dark just because of the bright lettering on the outside. So they make a bunch of different ones with a bunch of different branding. These are just my favorite. I just always like the look of these. Now I'll drop a link to these down below. I don't really care which one you buy, but I recommend you get like one that has a bright color on it. That way it's the easiest to find. Okay, and then one that is near and dear to my heart, SSDs. So this is a Western Digital 1 terabyte SSD. A lot of people purchase those portable SSDs, like Samsung T5 one, which comes with like a metal housing, and it's 1 terabyte also. But here's the thing, these are basically the same device. In fact, this one actually has better sequential read and write speeds for about $60 to $80 less on average. Depending on when and where you buy it on Amazon. This one has a read speed of 160 megabits per second and a write speed of 530. And I think the Samsung T5 is 540 read and 520 write. So a little bit better in terms of total specs, but you do have to buy a separate cable for it, which is also pretty cheap. This is like $7, and it basically takes the SATA connector of a standard SSD and uses it into a USB-C. So you can use this with both your Apple laptop if you want to, even your phone if your phone's capable of that, or your PC. Now they do make standard USB options, but even that T5, for example, your read and write speeds are going to be limited to the capability of the old school USB types, not the new USB-C, which has faster read and write speeds. Okay, now this is not what I recommend for every circumstance. If you need something super tough and durable, SSDs are pretty durable. Like I could throw this across the room and pick it up and it's still going to work. It's not like a normal hard drive. That's one of the benefits of solid state drives. I would say if you really want something tough, or you're going to be exposing it to extreme temperature variants like hot desert environments to like cold freezing environments, then you're definitely going to want to buy one that's like specifically made with a rugged housing, not a T5. And also if you're using it for very important files, I don't necessarily recommend Western Digital specifically though. I don't use Western Digital in my personal system for my personal files. This is just kind of like a throwaway sort of, not really, but like a kind of a throwaway external SSD for just changing files from one location to another. But if you're just looking for general storage, this can save you a lot of money, especially when you get into the bigger terabyte options. Like this SSD for 2 terabytes is $220. The Samsung 2 terabyte is $320. So you save $100 for the same amount of storage and actually faster read and write speeds. Okay, next little trick is these bungee balls. Now you can buy these in packs. They usually don't sell them individually, and they can come in different lengths that have different levels of stretchiness. And these things are awesome. It can really save you in a pinch. If you're out like hiking or anything like that, I highly recommend using something like this. One, it can double as a tourniquet if you need it to, but two, for like general storage and the capability of a bunch of different like use cases, this is a super versatile device. Basically, how you use it is you loop this little ball thing around the other end of this bungee, and it will basically hold it, and you can loop it around a bunch of different things and have a bunch of different like holding situations depending on what you're trying to kind of bungee up. These things, super useful. Do not undervalue them. I've had these ones specifically, this one for years, probably about half a decade now, and it's still holding strong today. Okay, and the very last tip is going to be for IEM users or people with a lot of extra cables. So they make these cable desk organizers for kind of cable management underneath or on the side of your desk. But I actually found a really cool use case for IEMs that you can actually hang your IEMs by the cable with this thing. And it's a great way to organize IEMs without having to roll up the cable. And then basically you just plug in all the IEMs you have, just like that, and then untape the stickiness on the back and tape it to a wall, and it's just gonna hang there. They won't get tangled. You can see which ones you wanna pick up clearly, and you can just unhook and rehook super simply. It's an awesome time saver, super cheap. Now, in my opinion, this is a superior option at home to an actual pouch, especially because you could just unhook, rehook as needed. So that's gonna wrap it up, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And yeah, if this video does well enough, I'll definitely make a part 2. And if you have suggestions of stuff that I should check out, please leave them in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the future sometime. Okay, bye.